Townsville has a very defined peak rental market, and it's very important that investors understand this so they can get the most from their property. We typically see properties that understand and align with the peak rental market achieving $20 to $30 per week more and reducing the vacancy by a factor of 50%. So what is the peak rental market? Well, Townsville has a unique economy driven a lot by defence postings and families not wanting to take their kids out of school during the middle of the year, and also people moving to Townsville for job opportunities and university. What this means is we see a much greater number of tenants wanting to move to Townsville over the January, February and November, December period, and a little bit so in the June, July period with the middle of the year. Rental pricing is driven by supply and demand. So when there's a much higher demand for rentals, a lot of people moving to the area, it makes sense that the price of rent goes up and the vacancy rate goes down. Now, your property manager should be actively trying to align your property to this peak market period. It's one of the reasons that we don't recommend periodic tenancies, because we want your tenancy to be factored into becoming available or at least renewal time at the peak of the market. And this means you've got higher comparable prices and you can achieve more per week from your investment property. If you watch my videos on how we negotiate lease renewals, it's all about looking at what the property would rent for in the marketplace and then offering a renewal price anchored at that higher price point. And of course, fairly obvious, if your property does become vacant during that time, more tenants to look at the property, higher rent price, and more quality applications for you to choose from as a landlord. So what can your agent do to make sure your property aligns during these periods? Simple. Try and do lease agreements that are a fixed term that end during those rental periods. If you've got a lease agreement that ends in October, it's not a bad idea to keep the rent the same until November or December and then do a rent increase at that point when the market is higher and there's higher justifiable comparable property. Similarly to this, if you have a tenant that's renting a property and their lease renewal falls in January and they only want to do a 3-month lease agreement, you need to be very considerate of the fact that that would result in your lease coming up in this March-April period, which will be a lower time in the market. It's great allowing your tenant to have a more flexible lease term, but it could significantly impact your bottom line in 3 months' time. There you have it. Peak rental market. A lot of landlords in Townsville have no idea about it. It's something that consistently makes our clients an extra $20 to $30 per week, every week on their investment property.